Hi, this is my fourth. Yeah, let me think. Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, I think this is my fourth diary entry. Today is Sunday. It's about 6 a.m. This is the entry for yesterday for Saturday. As you can see, I'm still in bed. Uh, yeah, it's really comfortable in here. I am now in Nara. And yesterday was a lot of it was basically a travel day, or at least taking care of travel related matters. I got up in oh god, where the hell was I yesterday? I'm sorry, I've been jumping around, God knows how many times. Um, Came from from Koyasen. Excuse me. I checked out of Koyasen. Oh, wait a minute. Yesterday was yeah. Okay, so yesterday was an amazing day because I got up at at like 4:30 when the monks got up in Koyasen, and at 6 a.m. Was invited to observe and ultimately to actually participate in the monks' daily morning Buddhist meditation slash ceremonial ritual, which lasted for about an hour and 15 minutes and was pretty amazing actually. It was I literally I was let in. I sat down, and there was this row of chairs, which I'm sure there was probably about 30 of them. So I'm assuming that the temple is busier at other parts during the day, or excuse me, during the year. But I sat down and waited for about 5-10 minutes, and the whole place it's dim, but there's candles lit everywhere. It's very ornate. I mean, it's their meditation chamber. It's been around and really hasn't been changed in over 500 years. It was pretty amazing. They let me shoot like a couple seconds of video footage and take a couple pictures before it started, but I couldn't actually show anything else. I couldn't actually photograph while the ceremony was happening. But it was just amazing. It was a typical, not typical. It was a it was a Mahayanic Buddhist meditation ceremony. So a lot of chanting of ba bi ba ba ba, but with one side of the room, it was basically the room was split in half. The right side of the room was or from my right, the right side of the room, there were about 8 monks sitting around a table with one, the abbot facing what they were praying to. And there wasn't a Buddha there. It looked like there was maybe a shrine. I'm not quite sure what it was. Uh, and they did that, and they were chanting. They rang a couple of musical instruments, including a gong, some long tube that when they shook, it sounded like a gong. Um, a I guess their version of cymbals that they kind of crashed together, but it made a very shaky sound and very mute. And so they kind of did that for a while, and then on the left side of the room, so it's probably split by a wooden divide, and on the other side was a fire burning ceremony where there were two elders of the temple, one of which was sitting in the back saying prayers or saying chants, excuse me, while the other was keeping a fire going on this table in the middle, and he was throwing things in there. The book says exactly what it is. I apologize, I just don't remember what that was, but for a good 45 minutes. At around 6:45, 7, they asked me, and there were a couple other people, I think one of which was a visitor from Kyoto, and the other was an aspiring monk who I guess was staying at the temple, and then to get up and walk around both areas one of which I had to pick up this very flaky type of material and put it into a bowl in front of where the 6 or 7 monks were praying. And then the second place was putting a cup of tea in a holder by the fire burning place, which I guess they do. I'm honestly not sure whether I was supposed to drink the tea or not. They didn't really speak any English at the temple, so I had to figure out aloud a lot by just kind of pointing and things like that. But it was an amazing experience. It was just really, uh, it definitely kind of showed me how different, um, how different they do, or at least the Buddhists kind of do their rituals versus the Judeo-Christian way. So that ended at like 7:15, and then we were all led into, or the three of us, excuse me, were led into a room to have tea. And we were there with one of the monks, and then the abbot came as well. And it turned out that one of the visitors ended up spoke a very little amount of English, and so I tried to talk in Japanese and then pretty much failed. But then I talked with her, and we kind of in English, and she tried to ask me questions, which was good. I found out that she could speak English, and then long story short, after about 20 minutes of kind of talking about where we're from, the woman had been to New York for like a couple months. The abbot came in, and she explained to him, excuse me, who I like, sort of my background, or at least what she could get from my background. And I understood a little bit of what the abbot was saying, and I said something back to him in Japanese, and he was actually kind of taken aback, but he was very happy that I at least had attempted it. He tried a little bit of English on his own, and he was just, and he smiled, and he was very gracious about it. And that's the one thing. The monks were very gracious to me during my stay there, and they really embraced me being there and wanted to make sure I was comfortable. And I, in turn, wanted to give them as much respect as possible. But they were just very, very happy people. I mean, I showed up, I left, and they were just doing their daily thing. I mean, I remember after the ceremony was over, I was packing up to leave, and I looked outside, and the monks and I guess the underling monks were cleaning the temple in a very methodical way, which I'm sure they've been doing the same way for a long time. So anyway, I checked out. I had about an hour or so before my cable card and train ride back to Osaka to get my connection to Nara. So I walked around Koyasan a little more, and then finally caught my connection, made it back into Osaka, and then I kind of screwed up, and I ended up thinking I had my connection in the Osaka station I was in. Turns out I had to walk to another one, and when I walked to the other one, I got lost a couple times. I mean, Osaka is becoming the bane of my existence. Finally got there. Finally got my train to Nara. Showed up to Nara at like 1:45, and decided at that point to take care of my train tickets, or Amy's and my train tickets, from Tokyo to Kyoto, because that's during their high tour season here. Not high tour, excuse me, their high travel season. Because the Japanese, starting, I think on Wednesday, all the kids get off, and then I think all the parents are essentially, they don't work for a couple weeks. And so everybody takes the train to go home, and this culminates to around the New Year's time. But the week after, people are going home, and then they start work the following week. So I had to book those tickets. And finished that, then walked, and after about 45 minutes of kind of looking around and not really understanding where I was, figured out where my hotel was, my ryokan was. Got here around 3, checked in. Here's a look of what this place looks like. Yeah. It's a typical, nice, it's basic. They have a TV. Here, I'll explain to you what I did tonight, or last night. But yeah. So, this is the place I'm staying. Checked in, I was, I mean, my legs, I've been walking around for the last 3 days, um, and so without a lot of sleep. So the night before, I got maybe like 6 or 7 hours, 6 hours of sleep, maybe. So I started feeling a little weary from that, but I decided to make a push and go into Nara, and go into the park and at least go visit one of the sites and perhaps see the famous Nara deer. I ended up doing that. Went to the Kufoji Temple, where it's just this complex where there's a number of different temples and museums, and it's one of the bigger tourist areas here. And then I decided to walk into the park a little bit, saw the deer, and then at about 5 o'clock, my body said stop. So I listened. I came back. Ended up finding a nice small restaurant. I don't know what you would call it. Sort of this. It's almost like their version of a diner. I didn't. Most of the restaurants here are specialists, but the one I went to was it was nice. It was out of the way, and I had some tempura over soba. I tried my first sushi here just because I hadn't had it yet, so I had just a 2 piece of concrete eel over rice, and then well, actually, I guess technically sashimi, even though it was listed as sushi because it was just laid over it. But anyways, and then a Kirin beer. Was feeling pretty good. Came back to the hotel room. Kind of just took care of like uploading pictures and stuff like that, which I don't have internet, so I'm not gonna be able to post any videos or pictures until Monday. But my goal is to do it then. So I took care of that. Watched some TV. That little TV over there. So I got my first sort of experience watching Japanese television. So I saw about 20, 30 minutes of a Japanese game show, which I lost my shit when I watched it. It was just really just off the wall. Every so often, like they're talking in Japanese, and the tagline if somebody did something right was "Good job," and then everybody burst out and clapping and cheering. And then I switched it, and we only get like 5 stations here, so the 3 other stations all had Japanese anime cartoon shows. So yeah, that got pretty limited after a while, and then I just knew I had to rest, so I went to sleep around 9, and then got up. So overall, yesterday was more of a travel slash relatively low key day. Today I'm gonna actually go around Nara, and go through the park. I may even take a bus trip out to a temple about 5-10 minutes. No, actually, it's more like 20 minutes outside of the city. That's one of the UN World Heritage sites. But we'll see how far I go before I give it out again. But anyway, that's my video diary entry for today. Oh, just a side note, the face masks on the Japanese are starting to really bug me. So one of the things that you'll see in the pictures and everything else is that everybody wears them, or a lot of people wear them. And at the beginning, I thought it was harmless, and now I'm sort of getting spooked by it. So that is what it is. I'm really enjoying the food, really enjoying kind of the people. I'm really enjoying the people. Everyone's been really nice. The staff here is really nice. Yeah, I was at the train station buying tickets. They couldn't have been nicer. And yeah, it's beautiful here. I will say Nara is more of a tourist trap than where I've been so far, and I guess I was expecting that, but there are a lot more tourists right now. At least my impression, and from talking with the staff here, is that it's 98% Japanese tourists just from around the country. The rest are Korean and Chinese. I've seen maybe even here in Nara maybe 10 foreigners outside of Asia. So take that for what it is. I will post tomorrow. So until then, I'll see you there. See you then.